What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I wanted to use some Shadow Grimer in the Open Great League. This Pokemon is not a great Pokemon, but what it does do is it core breaks the Azumarill and Shadow Drapion core that I see basically every single day. It's one of the most common cores out there. Grimer is a very fun Pokemon, an interesting Mud Slapper, so I wanted to give it a go. If you want to see my battles live, I stream almost every single day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN, where you can see insights into my gameplay and see my teams early. I'd love to see you there. The link to that is in the description. But without further ado, let's get into the battles and see what Shadow Grimer can do. Alright, let's get into game number one. We're going to see our Grimer in the lead up against a Clodsire. This is a very good matchup. Let's see if our opponent wants to stay in here or swap out. Obviously, Earthquake would one-shot us. I'd have to keep that in mind if they stay in, which it looks like they must be a little bit ABA weak to our Grimer right now because they are staying in a lead matchup. That is not great for them. These Mud Slaps have already put them below half health. We have a lot of energy, almost at 2 Mud Bombs. They end up baiting us with a Sludge Bomb, but that's totally fine. At this point, I know I can either Mud Slap them all the way down or reach 2 Mud Bombs before they can get to a third move and like get both of our shields here. With that said, this is only a Sludge Bomb. They let that Mud Bomb go, so I know for a fact I can survive this, farm them all the way down with our Shadow Grimer, and hopefully use this energy in the backline. It's a little bit of an awkward Pokemon that we see here actually in the back. It's going to be a Malamar. I could have gone for double Mud Bomb here, but I feel like there's a chance they no-shield this. I want to get guaranteed damage against this. They end up going for the shield, which is fine by me. I still have my Mandibuzz. That is one of the best hard answers here to this Malamar, and in the back is also going to be a Pangoro. Our opponent probably hoping for a Snarl Mandibuzz, but no, we are running Air Slash today, mainly because I really want that damage against the fighters, and also the fast move pressure is very helpful against the dark types, and also sometimes with the fairy types like Wigglytuff, Azumarill. It's a little bit more helpful to have that. Also, I guess at this point they're going to be forced to go for these close combats, right? But I can go for a nice Icy Wind down, or Ice Shard down rather, go for Icy Winds against that Malamar. They're going to be forced to throw superpowers, or even go for Power Plays, I guess, if they don't want to debuff themselves, but I will be able to debuff them even if they don't with our Icy Winds here. I know that if this is a foul play, the next one probably will knock us out, but at this point, they are going to be debuffed in the attack stat by one stage. If they don't shield this, I have a lot of energy on Mandibuzz. If they do shield this, I also still have a lot of energy on Mandibuzz, I guess. They're going to be forced to throw energy here right before my next Icy Wind is going to be thrown. Our opponent does throw at the very last second here, but they are debuffed one stage in their attack. They go for another foul play, but they're not going to have back-to-back moves right now. Superpower is not going to come anywhere near close to knocking us out, and I know that Mandibuzz should be able to outpace them before they could even get to a second superpower here. Airlace at this point has been queued up. They went for superpower instantly. I probably should have gone just for a foul play, but this is totally fine because an Air Slash at this point would be more than enough to finish off that game. GG's to them. All right, next match, what are we going to see? Our Shadow Grimer up against a Shadow Annihilate. This matchup you might think on paper would be fantastic for Shadow Grimer, and I mean, you're not wrong, it's a good matchup, but the worst thing about this is that the counters do start adding up, especially after these boosts with Rage Fist. Mud Slap is going to do a lot of their health, as you can see, but Mud Bomb and Mud Slap being non-stab is not amazing. Our opponent making a fantastic catch as well on their Dugong from the looks of it here, going to absorb a lot of energy, and now I do have the option to overfarm, but I always have to be worried that now the switch clocks are going to be a little bit desynced. If they want to take advantage of that, that could be a little bit annoying. I caught a move, it might be an Icy Wind, it might be a Drill Run. What did they end up throwing against our Grimer? They were going to go for the Icy Wind, probably would have been enough from that range to knock us out anyway, so a smart call from our opponent, but unfortunately for them, I caught that on our Water and Ice type Pokemon, meaning we take almost no damage here. With that said, now we are debuffed. We're switch locked in with this debuff, I should say, which is always a very awkward thing. I think 2 drill runs are going to be required for me to knock them out at this point, but I always want to have energy just in case their Annihilate comes back in. Looks like yet another swap from our opponent here into an Azumarill, a Pokemon that we don't have a great answer to once our Grimer is out of the way, and especially because our Dugong is debuffed, we're doing nothing in this matchup. With that said, I'm going to go for an Icy Wind now, start lowering their damage output so they can't bubble us down. I have a lot of energy still left over on our Shadow Grimer, and I know that our Mandibuzz can take care of that Annihilate. I just need this Azumarill to go out of the way. They ended up shielding up the Mud Bomb here. Do they want to double shield? Do they even think I have a Sludge Bomb at this point? Grimer, can you put in the work you need to? It can. It gets the Mud Bomb, or the Sludge Bomb rather, to land against this Azumarill, doing almost all of its health. Now, this is a range where I can Ice Shard down. I could even Air Slash down if I wanted to. It really depends on what I think is going to be more useful this game. This Azumarill is not going to be able to reach another charge move very likely against anything, but our opponent opting to swap back into Annihilate. At this point, they will be forced to shield an Icy Wind if they want to keep this Pokemon around, which is exactly what they end up doing here. And despite the debuff, I'm almost certain that a close combat would do more damage even at -1 from a Shadow Annihilate than an Icy Wind would do from a Dugong. An Ice Punch as well would do a lot of damage, so good thing to shield there. And at this point, Mandibuzz is full health. Their Dugong is in range where one foul play is going to be able to knock them out, or at least put them into fast move farm down range, so I don't think there's much our opponent can do. Mandibuzz goes for the foul play. It ends up putting them close to Air Slash down range. They throw a charge move at the last second here to try their very best to take out our flying type Pokemon, but a little bit too little too late. We even have quite a bit of health on our Dugong if we needed to use that for some Ice Shard damage, but not even necessary. Mandibuzz finishing off the game against 2 very strong Mandibuzz counters. Next matchup, a Dugong up against our Shadow Grimer lead. Not a great lead matchup because they do have access to the super effective charge move Drill Run, and they might also bait us with Icy Wind, which would be a little bit awkward here if that's what they end up doing. I'm going to go straight for the Sludge Bomb here. I want to draw a shield or do a massive amount of damage to this Dugong if possible. They end up letting it go, and now they're in range where this thing is going to be either slapped down in the 2 shield or just get knocked out by a Mud Bomb. Maybe even a Drill Run or a Foul Play from our Mandibuzz would be enough here. They are staying in, and because Mud Bomb is able to pace so quickly here, I can pace to them evenly to their charge moves. I'm going to be able to get on CMP and see if they want to protect up their Dugong. They do end up shielding that move, and at this point, Grimer's done its job. It's neutralized the Pokemon that probably is the most oppressive for our Mandibuzz in the game. If they do have another Pokemon that takes care of Mandibuzz, that's going to be a little bit annoying. I probably should have not done that last Mudslap there to give myself a few more Ice Shards of energy. Our opponent coming in with their next Pokemon, a Corsola Pokemon that honestly I don't really love to see here, but we can debuff with an Icy Wind and then come in with our Mandibuzz, who does have super effective Foul Play and can resist the Ghost type damage. With that said, the super effective Power Gems would be terrible, and also I guess this is also just kind of terrible. A Wigglytuff coming into our Mandibuzz. Yeah, not much we can do there. A little bit RPS in the backline, but GG's to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Grimer up against the Wigglytuff. This is exactly where we want to see the Wigglytuff, not on our Mandibuzz. We want to see it on our Poison-type Pokemon, and this save swap here kind of confused me for a second. I was like, what the heck is this? I didn't swap out as quickly as I should. I took a confusion on our Shadow Grimer, but this is one of the best possible matchups for Mandibuzz. There, I don't think is a single move this thing can run that is anything less than resisted. These confusions doing nothing. Trailblaze, it is ramping up their attack, but that doesn't matter if you don't have anything good to throw against me. I think I can go for a full Air Slash down at this point, and since it seems like they might be a little bit weak to Mandibuzz, they might be trying to bait it out right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to farm them all the way down. I'm fine taking 2 more charge moves if they're going to throw them, and then come in with our Dugong when the Wigglytuff comes back in. I know that our Dugong is a very neutral answer there, and I want to keep 100 energy on Mandibuzz just in case there is a Mud Slapper in the backline, so I'm going to swap out now into our Dugong into this Wigglytuff, and because this is going to be a little bit up on energy here, we can go for an Icy Wind right before their first Swift here. They were 6 away, I was 5 away, and we can go for this Icy Wind, start debuffing them very early. If they want to start no-shielding, this Wigglytuff's going to have a lot of work to do this game. They end up throwing a charge move right now. What is it going to be? Probably just going to be a Swift coming through. It's going to be the most neutral move they could throw. Icy Wind could debuff us, but our opponent not opting to do that, and then they come in with a Shadow Drifblim of all things. That is by no means an answer to a Dugong. We have an Icy Wind ready to go. They end up shielding it, and even though our Grimer really doesn't want to see this Pokemon, I have all that energy on Mandibuzz that we stored. Our opponent opting to try to go for a full farm down here to have enough energy to maybe go for Icy Winds against our Mandibuzz, but it's not going to matter. We already have the charge move here, and they are double debuffed. Even if they would have landed the move, we probably could have survived it. Foul Play, is it enough to take out the Shadow Drifblim from this range? It actually is, and in comes that Wigglytuff once again. Mandibuzz might finally get revenge against one of its worst enemies here. Can this Aerial Ace take it out? It can. Down goes the Wigglytuff. GG's to our opponent. Next game here, we're going to see our Shadow Grimer up against Shadow Dragonite. Oh no, this is not good. We're running a Mudslap Pokemon, and a very squishy one at that. So Dragonite is probably one of the best leads our opponent could have. Then they come in with a Ferrothorn, unfortunately, into our Dugong. This is looking terrible for us. With that said, I can see potential play this game. Maybe they don't have a hard answer to our Mandibuzz. If they don't, we might have a chance. But if they do, then this is probably just game over. I have seen this team, at least similar ones, with Azumarill in the backline. If that is the case, I'm in a lot of trouble here. With that said, I'm going to be able to force him to throw a charge move right now. I could try to shield this, but I don't think I guarantee a shield back. I just want to let this go, farm all the way down with our Grimer, and coming out of this with almost 2 charge moves. I know Grimer doesn't have fast move pressure against Shadow Dragonite, but the charge moves should do a lot, and at least threaten shields here, especially if I go for a Sludge Bomb, it would basically one-shot a Dragonite. I'm going to shield up. I know it's a debuff Thunder, but if I let that go, the Dragon Breath would just knock me out before I could end up doing anything with our Shadow Grimer, so let's see what's going to happen. What do they bring in? It's almost certainly going to be that Dragonite, and if it is, I have some work to do with our Grimer, but I think as long as we get 2 baits off, and we can land that Sludge Bomb, we might be able to win this game. The Mud Bomb bait coming through right now, they call it. They call it with the Shadow Dragonite. I fought this trainer. I know it's an Azumarill in the backline. We absolutely needed that to either go through or get shielded, and our opponent going for the right play there. GG's to them. Next game, a very tricky lead with a Diggersby. I say swap instantly into my Dugong, and our opponent does not have a hard response from the looks of it. They're going for a Scorching Sands before swapping out, which is not exactly the best thing to do. This is going to take a lot of damage on their Diggersby just with fast moves, and in comes a Wigglytuff. This is a very scary matchup because I know Wigglytuff does have the ability to just kind of 2-shield charm me down, have debuffs for my backline, but I am very happy that I baited this out so we don't have to worry about this with our Mandibuzz. Our Grimer can neutralize this. Our debuffs are going to add up over time here. What is our opponent going to do? They actually opt to no-shield that, which I think at this point means that I can just go for a full Ice Shard down if they ever throw energy, which it looks like they will. They're not going to get to another charge move, so I can get switch advantage this game actually, which could potentially help us out. Swift ending up getting shielded there. One more charm, not quite enough to knock us out. I have that Icy Wind ready to go against whatever is going to come in. Turns out the Diggersby is going to come back here. They don't want to take an Icy Wind. They're going to take a lot of damage if it ends up landing, and I guess they're just sacking Diggersby at this point. Might be a triple normal team. They've already had 2 normal types, and that is exactly what it's going to be, but that's not a normal type I wanted to see. This is going to be one of the trickiest Pokemon our Shadow Grimer could deal with. I think at this point, Grimer is just going to be used as a sack swap this game, maybe used as a way to sponge energy. If I could get the shields down rather, I could potentially go for a Sludge Bomb against them. But I don't know if that's going to be a possibility. Aerial Ace is not going to do too much damage. Our opponent hasn't thrown a Charge Move just yet, but they do end up actually shielding both of the Aerial Aces here. So now I'm going to come with our Shadow Grimer, absorb energy, either take a Brave Bird or a Feather Dance, let's call it. Oh, or I guess the other option, I guess, is a Aerial Ace. And since they gave us a Sneak here, I'm thinking there might be a chance. Maybe I can shield this up. Go for a Sludge Bomb before they can swap out. And maybe, just maybe, Grimer can take out the Flying type despite being a Mud Slapper here. Good stuff. Grimer looks like it did not get caught on. And that Diggersby, although being a little bit of a menace in the backline, is not going to have enough in the tank to be able to reach the 4 Fire Punches they would likely need against our Mandibuzz. Quick Attack plus Fire Punch is honestly such an impressive combination. Back in the day, before the Fire Punch buff, Diggersby was not great into this, especially when it was running Mud Shot and Fire Punch. That was probably one of the best matchups for Mandibuzz to be in, but with Quick Attack and the newly buffed Fire Punch this season, it's nowhere near as comfortable as it used to be. With that said, we can get to the Foul Play right before their next Fire Punch here. The next Fire Punch would probably not have knocked us out, really, really close though, so glad we were able to outpace, get to that Foul Play, and take out the Diggersby. GG's to our opponent. Next matchup, Shadow Grimer against probably the worst Pokemon this team could really see. It is a Dunsparce. This Pokemon obviously has super effective ground-type damage for our Grimer, a lot of rock-type damage as well for our backline. What we're going to try to do here is just 2-shield Grimer our way through this if we can. We have a lot of mud damage here with our Mud Slaps and our Mud Bombs. If there's any chance to win this game, it's going to be by just spamming out Charge Moves and trying to knock out this Dunsparce. In comes that second move. We had to double shield our Grimer already this game. It's never a good thing to go down 2 shields to 0, especially this early on. But I'm kind of desperate. I think I kind of have to here. And now, if we can Mud Slap down, we're in a good spot. But no, they survive on hopefully 1 HP. If this is 1 HP and I get a shield KO, then I'm in a very good spot. But if they end up shielding and surviving, then I've lost switch and shield advantage this game. This is looking absolutely tragic for us. With that said, Dunsparce is basically taken care of. All it took was a lot of our resources, but this is going to be one of the trickier Pokemon for our backline to have to face. There's a chance here we could still win this. In comes a Wigglytuff, a Pokemon that obviously is not great for our Mandibuzz, but our Dugong, up a little bit of energy, can reach this Icy Wind and go for some debuffs before they can get any damage against us. Our opponent likely going to go for a Swift soon, but our Dugong should be able to neutralize this pretty well to the point where our Mandibuzz, if it has a neutral or a strong matchup in the backline, could maybe still have some play this game. Swift does chip us down quite a bit here, but that's fine at this point. I think our Dugong should be able to either draw a shield from this or get a KO with this Icy Wind. They do opt to shield it up, and I'm thinking right now, they're double debuffed. I have an Air Slash Mandibuzz. I might as well catch this Swift, keep a little bit of energy and health on our Dugong, just in case I can reach an Icy Wind later on this game. Double debuffed Swift does nothing here. Our opponent likely hoping that I'm on Air Slash, or rather Snarl rather than Air Slash, that they could get a bit more Snarl damage against us, or Charm damage. I'm mixing up all of the fast moves right now, but no, since I had Air Slash, I was going to be able to Air Slash them down before they could get to another Charge move or just do a lot more Charm damage. Our opponent has a Mandibuzz of their own. This looks to be an Air Slash Mandibuzz mirror match, but because they threw energy so early here, I see an easy way to win this game. All I have to do is throw this Aerial Ace now, swap out, do one more Ice Shard, throw the Icy when they have no energy to snipe me down with, so now my Dugong should be able to freely come in, get a super effective Icy Wind off, and get a couple more Ice Shards too, which will put them deep into the red. At this point, it's going to come down to good energy management by our opponent. They do end up clearing the debuff, which is a smart play, but with that said, that Charm did not register because of the one-turn swap, which means that now our Mandibuzz, as long as it can survive an Aerial Ace and get the fast move farm down before the next one's reached, we should be able to somehow win this game. GG's to our opponent. Next matchup, Shadow Grimer against a Flying-type Pokemon. As I was saying, Mud Slap is exactly what we don't want to use against Flying-type Pokemon because of the fact that they resist it so heavily, and Talonflame also has a lot of fast move pressure, so Grimer does not want anything to do with that matchup. We ended up swapping out instantly to our Dugong here, where we can start going for Icy Winds potentially against the backline, and we end up baiting out another Pokemon that we wouldn't really want to see with our Grimer, which is a Gastrodon. The opposing Mud Slapper, obviously Grimer is a Mud Slapper itself, but being a Mud Slapper weak to Mud Slap is a bit of an awkward thing to do. I end up seeing that the CMPS here with the Charge move, I might be able to survive an Earth Power, get this Icy Wind off. We'll have to see. Yeah, we do actually pretty easily survive that. I can go for this Icy Wind, come in with our Mandibuzz now because the switch clocks are distinct, and there might be a chance for us as long as I can leverage energy on our Mandibuzz to win this game. They're going to be stuck throwing Body Slams here unless they're running double nukes with Water Pulse and Earth Power, but that'd be a little bit crazy. I'm not expecting it right now. They go for the Body Slam as we thought. A debuff, double debuff Body Slam does almost nothing to us. So Wigglytuff in the back. That's all there ever is, I swear. Wigglytuff every single game. I'm going to try our best here. Air Slash is going to help out in this matchup, but I don't think it's going to be enough. If I got to 3 charge moves, maybe there'd be a chance, but if I don't get to my 3rd air release, I don't know where I'm going to be able to draw shields this game. I get to this next air release, they do opt to no-shield it, but I know this isn't even a range where I can farm them down with Grimer before they can reach some charge moves. This is looking extremely awkward. I'm going to catch on our Dugong. If this is an icy win, then it's not going to knock us out potentially, and it's going to be a lot of energy down the drain, but it's, once again, I think just a little bit too little too late. That Talonflame in the backline is going to be more than enough to just go ramp up against us, maybe go for some flies, resist our damage, and they still have 2 shields in play. Grimer going to try its best, go for these mud bombs, but I mean, even if I get a shield here, I probably should have just gone for the sludge bomb. Sludge bomb would be my 1-win condition, getting a KO through the shields there, but unfortunately, not how that game was going to go. Alright, next game here. This is exactly what we want to see in the lead. The Shadow Drapion and the exact core that Grimer is supposed to be targeting right now. The Azumarill comes in as the safe swap. Because it swapped in late, I know I can go for these Sludge Bombs, get shields, get a lot of damage against them depending on how they want to play it out. They opt to shield the first one, obviously. If they come in late, they have to shield that up. They don't want to just let their Azumarill go instantly. But with that said, Grimer should always be able to outpace to these Sludge Bombs. Even if they're not down energy, you end up seeing ping every single move, unless you get a bait off, in which case you can still outpace them. But Grimer is just going to full send once again with this Sludge Bomb. 2 shields already down from this Azumarill right now, and the thing is, I'm not really that concerned about a Shadow Drapion. I have a lot of play into it. I have Drill Run on my Dugong. I can absorb a lot of damage with Mandibuzz. I also have Air Slash and Air Release, which do a lot. Dude, I tried to wait the turn. My opponent's animation showed them to be stopped. Like, they weren't tapping anymore, so I thought the Azumarill was staying in. But no, when you stop tapping, sometimes the visuals just don't update. Apparently that Azumarill is still doing bubbles, and by the time I clicked the Sludge Bomb, our opponent swapped out to the Diggersby and caught it somehow. This game is great. I love it so much. The visuals not updating when you're not tapping the screen is so frustrating. With that said, Dugong is still a fantastic answer to a Diggersby, but this is an awkward situation now because I don't have as much energy on our Grimer as I'd like. I would wish that I had a Sludge Bomb in the backline so I could knock out that Azumarill easily, but our Dugong should still be able to put in some work here. Our opponent might come in with Drapion, but if they do, they'll take a charge move unless they make a catch. I guess that's exactly what they end up doing, but this is what I need to do as well. I don't really have a better way to take out this Azumarill at this point. Drill Run is going to do quite a bit of damage to them here, and now Mudslaps would be able to knock them out before they could farm us down, so they are forced to throw energy against our Grimer. With that said, we also have our Mandibuzz in the backline that can go for an Air Slash down and have a lot of energy for that Shadow Drapion later on this game. Our opponent comes back in, Shadow Drapion. They need 4 charge moves here, 4 Aqua Tails that is, to knock us out. Maybe they're running Sludge Bomb. I guess if they're running Sludge Bomb, maybe 2 could knock us out, but I'm not expecting it. Sludge Bomb is a very rare moveset, and Aqua Tail is apparently the move of choice from our opposing trainer. Another Aqua Tail going to come through. Timing is so awkward against a Pokemon that's this spammy with a 3-turn into a 2-turn move, so I'm just kind of forced at this point to throw on bad timing here. I have back-to-back air releases, and now I am going to be able to knock out this Drapion. The first one won't be enough, but the second one should do more than enough to take out Shadow Drapion, and because we have so much of play, I guess, into the Shadow Drapion here, we were able to win this game despite a little bit of inconsistent gameplay. GG's to our opponent here. Looks like they ended up top-lefting. Mandibuzz closing out the match. Next matchup, Shadow Grimer up against Azumarill. Fantastic lead matchup, although once again, if they catch our Sludge Bomb or something, it could be a little bit awkward here. But getting this thing out of the way for our backline is going to be helpful. Our Mandibuzz doesn't really want to see this, and normally Azumarill is going to be one of the better answers to Mandibuzz on my opponent's team. So if they have anything else that's an even better answer, I'd be a little bit surprised. We land the Sludge Bomb, and as you can see, almost one-shots it from that range. This is range where we could probably Mud Slap all the way down before they could reach another charge move. So our opponent, realizing that, swaps into Drapion. Are you kidding me? This Pokemon is weak to Mud Slap, and you're bringing it into our Grimer. This is a non-Shadow Drapion as well. I can survive a charge move here, likely go for a Mud Bomb, and take a shield back from this Drapion. This is a fantastic situation right now. Our Mandibuzz can easily come in, absorb all of the energy that we need to, and then I'm pretty sure also, if that Azumarill comes in, Mandibuzz should be able to deal with it, just throwing air releases and air slashes. In comes a charge move. Is this non-Shadow Drapion running Sludge Bomb? No, yet again, going to be an Aqua Tail coming through here, but that's totally fine. I can farm them all the way down if they want to stay in, and if they don't want to stay in, I guess that's fine as well. Our opponent does opt to throw yet another charge move. Aqua Tail does a little bit of damage. We're almost at about half health. Oh boy, okay. I should have saved health on Grimer. This is not good. More Peko in the back might be the worst possible case scenario. They no-shield the foul play, and now they're they're going to be able to knock us out with an Aura Wheel before we're going to be able to reach another charge move. This is terrible. I don't know if we can win this game. I'm going to try to come in with our Grimer, get a Mud Slap. Maybe Mud Slap's going to put them into Ice Shard downrange, but this is looking terrible. If they can get 2 more Aura Wheels against our Dugong before Fast Move down, we're just going to lose this somehow. Grimer was triple strong against this team, but this is not what our backline wanted to see. I'm going to call a Psychic Fangs bait, but they land the Aura Wheel, which does catastrophic damage, and at that point, not much we could do. GG's to our opponent. Next matchup here, Grimer in the lead up against an Azumarill, a very, very good lead matchup, but we have to worry about what's in the backline, and if they ever make a catch, just like always, our opponent does stay in for just a second here, which makes me think our Grimer might have a little bit of play into whatever the final Pokemon might be or the backline is going to be. We'll have to see. Mud Bomb this time ends up getting the shield off of the bait. A very risky call by me there, not just going straight for the Sludge Bomb, but now that we got the bait off, we can outpace this Azumarill to future Sludge Bombs here, have a little bit of extra energy. I'm going to full send once again this time. If it does land, it might even knock them out. Let's see if our opponent wants to risk it. They opt to shield this time. Grimer getting both shields from Azumarill. They're throwing yet another charge move. Like always, we have to shield up these Ice Beams. They're going to do a lot of damage to our Shadow Grimer, so we want to keep it around. We like this guy. And another Sludge Bomb could be reached. I am waiting, but no, our opponent, once again, they were not waiting like the visuals were showing. As you can see with how much health we were missing on our Grimer, they got like 1 or 2 Astonishes before I could even swap out. I was waiting. I thought that they were waiting as well, so I could just try to throw the Sludge Bomb guaranteed into the Azumarill, but animations, man, do not work when you're not tapping. One day I'm going to learn this lesson, but that is so frustrating. With that said, Mandibuzz is our one and only answer to this Pokemon. We are going to be able to get 2 Foul Plays off, and even though 2 Power Gems do a lot of damage to Mandibuzz, we are still in a decent spot here where Foul Play is going to be able to 2-shot them despite not having Snarl. I know our Shadow Grimer is a lot lower on HP than I'd like it to be, but I think at this point we should be in a pretty good spot. Our opponent coming in with their final Pokemon here, we see it as the Shadow Drapion, so this is why they were so scared of our Shadow Grimer earlier. They're going to throw a charge move to knock us out, which is exactly what ends up happening, but at this point they have like a really low HP Azumarill in the back, they have a low HP Drapion that's not going to get to another charge move. We can just Ice Shard that down, Drill Run the Azumarill, and take the win, despite once again the game not behaving correctly when you're not tapping. Alright, next game though, this is a terrible, terrible lead matchup. I'm going to swap out, they resist our... What is that? Is that a Leafage Abomasnow? That is not... maybe I should have stayed in with my Grimer. My Poison type would have had a much better time against this, despite having Mud Slap, than our Dugong, which is taking super effective leafage damage. You're supposed to be running Powder Snow Trainer. This is so bad right now. I'm going to have to shield up an Energy Ball or call a Weather Ball a bait. I'm going to shield expecting them to just go straight for it, which is exactly what does end up happening, but then they catch on a Corsola. What even is going on right now? This is so terrible for us. I don't know what I can even do. ISUN will debuff them, but at this point it's a Corsola. They have super effective damage against our Mandibuzz with that Power Gem. Even if they're double debuffed, it's going to start adding up. And also, where am I going to get the damage to knock out that Abomasnow? They have a lot of energy because they made a catch. I don't know what I'm going to do this game. This is looking absolutely terrible for us right now. We are going to be able to take a move here. I know that Power Gem is a strong attack, but Corsola and Mandibuzz both being very bulky Pokemon, and Corsola being double debuffed means we can survive 2 of these extremely easily. I want to have energy just in case that Abomasnow does come back in here, so I'm going to overfarm as much as I can right before they reach another Power Gem. I don't want to take a 3rd charge move. That would be the end of the world. The Foul Play here should be enough to take out this Corsola. And then we see the final Pokemon is an Azumarill, and that is not in the slightest what I was hoping for. If it was like, I don't know, a Shadow Drapion or something, maybe there would have been a chance, but Azumarill is definitely the worst case scenario. I have some energy on our Mandibuzz. I'm going to try to catch a move on our Dugong, which we do end up doing, but I don't think this is really going to matter at this point. They just have a lot of energy across the board despite this catch. They'll be able to reach another Ice Beam very soon, and they have a lot of energy on that Abomasnow that they can just go for a ton of Weather Balls against our Grimer. Despite having Leafage, Weather Ball, Ice is going to do massive damage here. And comes a charge move, almost certainly an Ice Beam, not doing too much damage to us, but putting us well within range, where a Weather Ball could, in fact, knock us out. Grimer doesn't have enough energy to even reach a Sludge Bomb before they could possibly reach another Weather Ball here, so I'm just going to go straight for the Mud Bomb. If this is enough to knock out, you know, I don't know. I don't think there's a chance, but, like, maybe it's not. They survived the Air Slash, too. What was that game, man? Leafage Abomasnow. Shadow Leafage Abomasnow. I respect it, but that is not what I wanted to see. All right, next game, we're going to see the Grimer up against Shadow Drapion. Speaking of things I want to see, this is more in line with that. And they safe swap with a Diggersby. Fantastic stuff. Dugong loves this matchup so much right now. We might get debuffed by a Scorching Sands, but even if we do, we can return the favor with our Icy Wind very shortly after. And if they don't debuff us, this matchup is extremely strong. In comes our first charge move. Icy Wind is going to be reached and no debuff from our opponent's side, which means this is a full-powered Icy Wind. Does quite a bit of damage. The next one will be enough to knock out. And I always want to overfarm in this matchup. I know that Drapion Drapion was in the lead, right? So if I want to come out of this with enough energy to outpace them before Crunch, I need to overfarm and have just a little bit more energy than I do right now. If that Drapion comes in once again, they'll have to throw all of their energy to knock out our Dugong before they're able to knock us out here. And because of that, we won't have any energy lead on this opposing Shadow Drapion, and in theory, we should have a lot of play with our Grimer. I'm just going to go straight for the drill run. I'm expecting them to no shield, knowing that the lead match was so bad for them, but they opt to actually shield the attack here, which could be a little bit scary. They also throw energy against our Shadow Grimer. I swapped it back in because I don't want to give them a huge farm down this game, and we're going to see, okay, this is going to be kind of interesting. A Shadow Marowak coming in, the opposing Mud Slapper right now. If I would have kept Switch this game would be so much easier. With that said, these Mud Slaps and Mud Bombs have added up quite a bit against this Marowak, and as long as we can air slash this down before 2 rock slides are reached, we might be in a decent spot. Our opponent could also bait us here, but if they bait us, that's a stupid play. That's so crazy. They would never do that, right? They could bait us, though, and they'd be at the move right now. They bait us. That's what happens here. I'm going to swap, and our opponent, they waited. The visuals didn't update, so my Dugong snipes down their Marowak here, just showing once again why visuals absolutely need to be updating in this game when you're not tapping. Our opponent trying to see if I was going to catch or not, but not even being able to. And now Crunch is going to come through. Our opponent opting for a very smart play here. They actually get a defense drop, which could get them back into this if 2 more Aqua Tails are enough to knock out Mandibuzz. With that said, we have a lot of Aerial Ace energy here. We are close to our next charge move, and as long as that's enough to knock them out, I don't even have to worry about the next Aqua Tail taking me out. I should be able to survive it, but this is getting a little bit dicey here. Is Aerial Ace enough damage to knock out this Shadow Drapion? I go for it. It just barely is, and we can win that game. Shadow Grimer is a very interesting Pokemon. I wouldn't call it good one way or another. It's a very fun Pokemon if you have access to one. But I mean, if you want to use a team like this that's, using Mandibuzz and Dugong, just use a regular Mudslapper. Honestly, just like stick Gastrodon in the lead. This would be a much better team. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. I stream my battles live at twitch.tv/ItsAXN basically every single day. I'd love to see you there. The link to that is in the description. And if you want to see more videos like this, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.